Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Club Junkie podcast. Another week is almost gone, and it's getting close to holiday. And if you walk into a store, there's probably Christmas decorations somewhere on the floor. So that is frightening. I can't believe it's already getting to this point that we're going to start thinking about Christmas lists or holiday lists or any of that type of stuff. Is just absolutely crazy. So before we get going today, just want to let you know, excited to share with you guys exclusive opportunities from Titleist. But to be a part of them, you have to join Team Titleist. Team Titleist gives you access to opportunities like prototype testing, special events, limited edition gear from Titleist, and so much more. Sign up and join us on Team Titleist at Titleist.com/Team Titleist, all one word. If you're into testing prototype Pro V1s, getting some cool Team Titleist logoed gear, any type of special event, stuff like that, Team Titleist is where it's at. So when you see everybody online posting their all white boxes of Pro V1s, that's part of Team Titleist. So go ahead and sign up, and it's a pretty cool community of just golf nuts like me, you, anybody out there who's hard into equipment and all that. So another week is pretty much come and gone. It's like I said, it's wild to think that when you walk into pretty much any store now, there is holiday themed decorations and products all over the place, which is scary because it's November and the year is almost done. And I can't believe how fast it's gone. I definitely didn't play enough golf. I definitely want to play more. I know it's tough with a little toddler running around, but hey, I realized that I'm getting down to the end, and unfortunately, I didn't even get to play last week. I had some stuff going on, had some family stuff that we needed to do, and hung out with some family members and all that. So I actually didn't play at all, which is kind of a bummer. I wanted to get out and play. But like I said, there was stuff I just needed to get done, and the leaves are falling here in Michigan, so you got to rake some stuff up, and you got to get some stuff done. And unfortunately, being an adult stinks sometimes, and you got to take care of your responsibilities, which is a bummer. Every once in a while, I kind of wish I went back to be a high school kid again and have no worries, no responsibilities, and just go play golf whenever I want. But it was actually kind of a good thing. So this episode here, I mean, I think I do it every year, kind of maybe a little later because I'm trying to play, and I'm still gonna try to play golf. Let's put it that way. If I can get out and play, it's not gonna happen this weekend. Wife and I are taking a little trip out to the East Coast, just to the two of us to get away from the little one for a weekend and have some fun. So we're gonna go take off. We're out of here we're leaving tomorrow and gonna take off just for the weekend. So no golf on this trip. The clubs are staying home, and maybe next week. I'm probably not going to play next week. I got some stuff planned. We got some OEM visits and things like that I've got planned for next week. So just busy, and I don't know if I'm going to get to play. I'm probably going to be able to hit some balls, but I don't know if I'm going to actually play golf. I'm not bringing my clubs out there, so that's a little bit of a foreshadowing bummer that I'm not bringing the clubs out there. But hey, most of it's going to be some OEM stuff that I've got to do. So we'll see. But I'm going to try to play. I'm going to keep trying to play as long as I can. That way I can hit some clubs. I can still talk about stuff. Because when we get into the deep, dark depression of winter, it's going to be just me probably rambling here about who knows what. But every year I do, and like I said, it's usually a little later, but every year I do kind of my end of the year, kind of what's in the bag. What kind of made it, what didn't, what if I, after hitting everything all year, at the end of the year, if I had to go play money, what would I put in my bag? And it could only be 14 clubs. And I figured, why not do it now? And this is what I'm going to do a little differently. I'm going to do basically what's in the bag for me now, what's in the bag. And then I'm going to do kind of a silver medal as well. What was pretty close, and some things were a little surprising. I know I may even throw that in there, one of those, like what was something surprising that got closer than you think to making it. And we'll see kind of where we go with that. But I think it's always fun for me, at least, to look kind of back on the year and see what worked, what didn't, and sometimes it kind of becomes a blur of all the stuff you hit, and you kind of forget about certain things that were so good or so close, or that you thought, man, this might be in the bag, and then it ended up not being. But looking back on this year and seeing there was a lot of great equipment out there, and my what's in the bag is probably totally different than somebody else's, and mine ended up being definitely one brand heavier than it usually is, and that isn't for any real reason other than the stuff just worked for me. So it was kind of an interesting year in terms of what ended up being in the final bag. If you would have asked me if this was my final bag, back in February, March, whatever, I probably would have said no, or at least pieces of it I didn't think were gonna be there, but it ended up being that way. So we'll kind of go run through, kind of what worked the best and what made it, and what was pretty darn close, because there were some things that I thought were pretty surprising in terms of stuff that was so good. And again, all the equipment from every OEM, whether you are kind of a one OEM fanboy or you love to mix it up, there's just so much good product out there, and everybody's always like, what's the best, and what's the worst, and you're like, there's really not a best and a worst, because everything's so good, and there's players out there who are going to hit one thing really, really well, and the same club in another player's hand is just not going to perform. So it has nothing to do with the club. It's just a matter of each player is a little different, and that's why you got a lot of options. So we'll break down the bag a little bit, and I think it'll be fun to kind of look back and just think about some of these clubs and how they got there, and why they're there, and why like I said, why they're there over something else. But like I said, it's an easy, it's a cool thing to do, and I think people are interested in listening to that, as well as the fact that I don't have a whole lot to talk about at the moment in terms of stuff I have on the course, because I didn't play pretty much all last week. But I do have some cool things. I got a couple little experiments I'm going to toss in. One of them I found kind of an old cool shaft, and that I haven't hit in forever, that I thought would pair up really well with a head, and I'm reshafting my P770s. So there's a lot of things kind of out there that I'm still messing with and all that. In terms of new product, I mean, we're getting to the point of launch seasons will be start coming up here. Probably, I think most of the launch stuff is going to happen probably very, very end of the year, if not very beginning of 2022. Just my guess. I don't know anything yet. I will be finding out some stuff shortly, but right now it's all kind of up in the air of what's going on. So, and I know some stuff from some companies. They've told us before that the original plan was to kind of launch around now, but that's not going to happen. So now it's going to be 2022 or whatever. So stuff is all over the place depending on which manufacturer you're talking to or looking at. So we'll see where that stuff goes. And my what's in the bag, of course, is dynamic. It's going to change. I mean, it's going to change. I mean, let's be honest. When new stuff comes out next year, my bag is probably going to change. Nothing. I would say for sure, previous years, I would say like there was a time when I had my hybrid that was never going to change. That my old Big Bertha 815, which I still consider probably one of the best and most underrated hybrids that was ever made. But the old 815, the Big Bertha was phenomenal. And there was years where I was like, it's not going to change. Same thing with like my XR16 3-wood that I played for like 3 or 4 years, and I just was like, that's never going to change. That's sitting there on my bench actually, head only at the moment. That is probably going to get a shaft in it. I've got a couple different ones that I've decided that I'm going to toss in and just try, and who knows, maybe see if some old magic can be rekindled, because I tried it earlier in the year. Because I pulled it apart because I wanted the Ventus red out of it, and I put it in another head, and then I just never kind of put it back together. And it's just been kind of sitting on the side of my bench. I'm not going to get rid of it. I mean, it's just a XR16 head. It's not like it's worth anything. But I figured I'd hold on to it, and who knows? Something may come up that fits in it and whatever. So it's sitting over there, and it may get a shaft here. I was kind of looking through the old bin of shafts, and it might get a shaft, something else to try. Just see if it, like I said, it sparks some old magic again. But it didn't earlier when I tried it. I took it out. I don't know if it was this year or last year, but I took it out, and it unfortunately, it wasn't quite the same, but we'll give it another whirl, see what happens. But anyway, so my what's in the bag for the end of 2021, which stinks, because there's probably people listening in like Texas and Florida and Arizona, whatever, Southern California, who are like, what are you talking about? We still got 2 months of play in this year. Not me. I've got a very, very limited window here of how much more golf I'm going to play, but we'll start from the top, like you would of any what's in the bag, I think. And in driver, which I don't think anybody's very shocked from me. If I had to go play, like I said, for money right now, I'm basing it. Oops, how did I grab the wrong club? Because if you're not paying attention, you can watch this on YouTube if you want to watch my podcast. If you search Golf WRX Radio, it's in there. But I film it in front of my little desk here, and but if you're following along, driver wise, it's probably not a big surprise. Sim 2 Max was pretty much my go-to all year. I tried pretty much majority of the drivers that came out this year, and this year just basically offered the best combination of forgiveness and distance, pretty much out of anything else I had. And if I had to play it right now, I'd play it with it's a 10-5 head, set at 10-5, and I'd play it with a Ventus Black 6X, which is pretty much what I played most of the year with. And to me, I mean, the Sim 2 Max, a little higher launching, higher spinning head compared to last year's Sim Max. So, putting like a Ventus Black in there brings down that little bit of launch, brings down that little bit of spin, and it's got an extra stiff handle section, so it works well with my pretty crappy tempo that you all know I have. So Sim 2 Max, like I said, it just worked really well. I hit it straight, and it was really kind of between driver wise between this and Ping G425 Max for most of the year. And beginning of the year, the Ping was absolutely killing it. But my swing path is garbage. Yeah, I come over the top. It's from, out to in with a shut face, and I hit everything left. And I draw everything as well. So it's just everything draws, everything goes left, and that G425 Max, I just could not. I mean, I set the weight and fade. I basically set it to a flatter position. I even went down and loft with it, just to open up the face a little bit. I mean, I tried everything on it, and I just could not get it to not go as far left. And the Sim 2 Max, offered probably the next best stability for me in terms or in consistency in terms of hitting fairways, and it went just as far, and I just hit it straighter. So I think overall the 425 Max was probably a little more forgiving. You could get away with some bad swings, and there was a day with it that I went and played a scramble and absolutely I hit every single fairway. I hit fades, I hit draw. I mean, you name it. I hit everything. It was just an unbelievable day swinging the driver, and I was never able to replicate that day, unfortunately. But Sim 2 Max was really, my go-to. I pretty much tested, the majority of the shafts I tested this year, I put in this head just because I was so comfortable and so familiar with it. So playing it in that head was an easy way to do my podcast and talk about ball flight differences and stuff like that, because I knew how it flew, and it just worked really well for me. So Sim 2 Max was definitely my go-to, and like I said, if I had to play for money, that with a Ventus Black 6X, probably at 44, and I think it's 44 and a half, 44 and 3/4. I got to remember, I think it's 44 and a half, would be my go-to, and that's that would be the driver. And like I said, it's the one that, like I said, I think I mentioned it, majority of podcasts when talking about drivers, that this is the head that I hit the most, and it just, like I said, it didn't quite. It kind of beat everything else, and the G425 Max was pretty close. I just couldn't stop it from going left. But I think the big surprise out of all of them, the one that actually kind of came closer to making the bag than I would have thought, was really that Tour Edge C721. That thing is, as much as it probably doesn't get near as much love as anything else that I've hit, it really just was a really solid driver. It's really forgiving. It's pretty darn low spin. The ball jumps off the face, and it's got some great stability to it. I mean, it's just a really good driver. I mean, I think really the only thing that, the Sim 2 Max launched a little higher. I was able to use a little stiffer, a little lower launching shaft. And I think that really helped it out, where, that C721 was definitely a little flatter launching, even at a similar 10.5. So, I mean, maybe if I went up to like an 11.5 and put a really, stiffer shaft in it, okay, maybe I could get that C721 to work. But again, kind of like the Ping, there was just only so much you could do with what I had, and it missed out. But I think it was one of those heads that surprisingly it was really good. It just didn't quite make the bag, and it was close. It was closer than I thought. I don't think it ever really had a true time of knocking out the Sim 2 Max, but that C721 was a really good driver that flew really under the radar. And it really with drivers, the other one too would be that, the TSI 3 was a really good driver. That one there, I think if I had a 10.5 head, it would have really given the Sim 2 Max a run for the money. I think it would have been definitely long. I would have had a nice, a much better launch. I have a 9.5 head and I just can't hit it high enough. And if I shut the face, it looks closed, and that just, messes with the gears in the old head, because I'm going to hit it left anyway. So that is just kind of a recipe for disaster there. So, the Sim 2 Max, and like I said, my kind of shock or surprise of the year, which I think is a great driver that, nobody's talking about, or not as many people are, is that Tour Edge Exotic C721. It's just a really good driver. And the other thing too, I wish it was face was a little deeper. I always kind of mentally had to like tee it down just a touch, and I think that just always kind of got with me. But anyway, like I said, really a good driver. And but again, there's so many out there. I mean, I really wanted to make the Callaway Epic Max LS work really well, and I got it close. I would say that thing, paired up with the new graphite design Tour AD UB, the new UB. That was pretty close. I took that out very end of the year and played like 18 with it. And I'll tell you what, that was actually a really good combo for that head. That was probably the best combo that I had all year. It was just, going with kind of a mid to slightly mid-high launch shaft in that head. It just worked out really well, but I tried probably every shaft on the wall behind me with that head. And I couldn't get a great combo to work for me. It just, I don't know what it was. I hit everything a little more left. As soon as I put the Club Connect stuff on it, the face looked like it was a little shut, so I had to play it like lower lofted, and it was just again one of those things where I think there was just little things here and there that just stopped that head from working for me. But when I threw that UB in there, it actually was really good, and I hit it really, really solid that day that I had that thing built up. So it was close, but like I said, Sim 2 Max is probably my go-to for the end of the year. So that would be my one, and I'll give my bronze medal to, or my silver medal to probably that. Probably the G425 Max. I mean, I took it out a couple more times and put some other shafts in it. It just didn't work. But, like I said, that driver and I had our one day in the sun that was just really special. So, but Sim 2 Max. And then, we'll go to 3-wood. 3-wood is still an absolute search for me. I mean, I'm basically, I found one that's worked so far. I've got probably the best combo that I've gotten, which is the, again, Sim 2 Max with the new Fujikura Speeder NX shaft in it. So that Speeder NX, which is kind of a mid-high launch shaft, I think it plays a little more mid, but really solid offering, and basically a combo that, like I said, if anybody wants to say like what's the first club that may be replaced in your bag come next year, it's probably 3-wood. 3-wood is just, I haven't found, I think because I found something a couple years ago that I was so in love with, that just worked so well, that was so automatic, that was so point and shoot. Not finding something at that same level has just been difficult, and this has been pretty darn close. I mean, majority of the time I hit 3-wood off the tee, so I want something that's got like a little deeper face to it, or like the Ping 425 Max was, that face was just super shallow, and hitting it off the tee, I always felt like I had to really be conscious of how high I was teeing it up. But the Sim 2 Max, in terms of consistency, was probably the most consistent 3-wood I hit out of a good amount. I wouldn't say I hit every single 3-wood this year. That would probably not be correct, because I didn't hit everything. Like the Callaway 3-woods, I hit the 5-woods, and they were really good, but I never hit 3-woods because I never got a 3-wood in my hand, and I never ran out to a shop to go try a 3-wood. So I hit the 5-woods, and they were really solid. I think 3-woods could have been pretty good, but this one here, I mean, the Sim 2 Max, just easy to hit. It launches really easily. It's easy to hit off the deck. You can hit it off the tee. It's decently long. I wouldn't say it's the craziest long 3-wood out there in terms of, the Thai version's definitely longer, as is, some of the other stuff like the Honma TR21. Big LB was longer. There's just some stuff out there that's crazy long. That's, either titanium or whatever. But this thing actually, it fit the distance gap I wanted. Hitting it off the turf, it was actually, probably one of the more consistent. It's probably been the most consistent off the turf 3-wood that I've hit since I've owned, or since I retired the XR16. It's probably been the best off the turf since then. But, in terms of off the tee, it worked really well. It's just a really versatile 3-wood. It does kind of, it's the jack of all trades. It kind of does everything really well. And it goes pretty straight. It's pretty forgiving. I didn't have to worry about a ton of left on it, as long as I wasn't, swinging really left. It went really straight. And like what I said, it took a couple different variations of shafts. Like the original thing, I put a Ventus Red in there, and it just hit kind of like high spinny shots that just fell out of the sky. And moving to this Speeder NX 70, it really worked well. I don't know, there's something about that, again, being kind of that mid to mid high launch, but fairly, mid to mid low spin. It just worked out. And it's been a good combo in that head. and I've hit it really well. So, like I said, most of the time it's off the tee, short par fours and par fours with big dog legs that you can only hit it so far, things like that. I mean, that's where I'm using it, for the most part. And then, every once in a while I've hit it off the deck to try to get to home to a par 5 and 2 or whatever. And it's actually been really good. I've actually hit it really well in those situations. So it's been really, a really good 3-wood, and I've played pretty well with it. I've gotten used to it. Again, it's not one of those things where it's safe for next year. It definitely is going to basically. It's going to lose its spot. Let's be honest. It's going to lose its spot. Whatever. There's going to be something out new that I hit just as well, if not a little better. So let's just be honest. It's going to probably lose its spot. It's probably going to be the first thing to go, realistically, when some new 3 would start coming out and I start getting my hands on them. It's probably going to be the first thing to go. So 3-wood, like I said, is still the search. But the Sim 2 Max right now is filling the void pretty well. I would say honorable mention, honestly, would probably be the Mizuno STZ. That thing there, just a really good 3-wood. Again, same thing kind of with this. It took a couple shaft variations, a couple things. I found that I hit the best with that Gravidesign Tour AD IZ, IZ7X, and I hit that thing, and that combination was really good. I mean, a high launching, low spin shaft with a head that, to me, launched a little flatter. The only reason it didn't beat out Sim 2 Max for me was I just didn't hit it as well off the turf. Off the tee, it was a cannon. I mean, it's got that deep face. You can kind of tee the ball up a little higher. You can really hit some absolute bombs with the thing off the tee. For me, I think that deep face got in my head, and hitting it off the turf, I just didn't find the same consistency. I hit some absolute monsters with it, but it was just, I'd hit a monster shot with it, and then it would be a couple times of just, hitting stuff that kind of, and again, this is, me. It's just hitting stuff, hitting down on it, getting steep, hitting it left, or just hitting, fighting the left because I definitely didn't want to hit it there, hitting some, weak little fade out to the right. So definitely hit some good shots with it, and off the tee, it was an absolute cannon. But unfortunately, just off the deck, it wasn't quite as good, and that's why the Sim 2 Max just made it into the bag over it. And it was close. I think like I said, some other stuff there. The one that I think is surprising to most people, well, probably not surprising to you guys who have listened to me, but the one that I just could not get to work was TSI 3. I had that TSI 3 in the bag. Put a few different shafts in there, Ventus Blue, Ventus Red. I put, what else did I put in there? I put in something else as well. I put in like 4 shafts. And it seemed like everything I hit was just kind of high, little spinny shots that kind of jumped in the air, fell out of the sky, and were just, it wasn't long enough. It wasn't like, I just didn't have the right setup to hit it as long as everything else, and it just became a gapping issue. I'd hit everything, and when I hit it well, it went pretty decent, but again, wasn't as long, and it was starting to fall back into the territory of, well, if I'm going to hit that distance, I'll just hit my hybrid, and it just was one of those things where I wanted to really love the TSI 3 in the fairway. I love the shape of it, love the look. I just couldn't get something to work in that thing without it, like I said, for me, just hitting things, kind of high, spinny, and a little left. So that was probably one of those ones that was close, but it just, or not close, but it was a little more disappointing that I really wanted it to work. I love the look of it, the shape. I just couldn't get that thing to work for me. But like I said, the Sim 2 Max has worked out pretty well. So those two there are my 2 woods. And then I move into hybrid, which hybrid I was, everybody knows I was playing, a Cobra most of the year. I think I've got Apex UW kind of dialed in a little bit, and it was interesting. So I built up an Apex UW from Callaway, a 19 degree, cut it down really short. This is 40 and a half inches long. I had to actually only put like a small tip weight in here to get it, to get the swing weight up to D2, which is what I like to play, which for some guys is too light. But 40 and a half inches with a Fujikura Atmos Tour Spec Blue 8X. And this is a wood shaft, not the hybrid shaft, because these hosels are 335. They're wood shaft hosels. And I had this thing laying around up in the kind of the old shaft rafters. And cut it down. You can see if you're, again, on YouTube, that there's almost zero of the blue, the little blue Atmos design that they have on there. But I tipped it about an inch and shoved it in here, and I tell you what, the thing has been a great hybrid. replacement for me. And some people ask, like, hey, why would you want to, like, because I think this is a great little head. I love the fact that you can kind of play it as a 5-wood. You can get the 17-degree play kind of as a 4-wood. You can play it longer. You can play it shorter. You know, you can set it up, I think, more like a hybrid like this. It's just really versatile. You can kind of set it up and build it whatever way you need it to really, you know, have it fit your bag. And this thing here for me has been really, really good. I've hit some great shots. Hit some shots like into the wind and stuff like that have just, you know, carried farther than I expected. But this combo here, going short and a little heavier, has been just a really, really good option. I've played really well with it. And again, I know it's not, you know, it's still maybe a little bit more honeymoon than anything, just because it is still kind of new in the bag. But this thing here has been really, really solid, and it's worked out really well. Like I said, I like the fact that the kind of the step sole on it allows it to get through the turf more like a hybrid, but it's got a little more mass to it. The head's a little bigger, it's a little longer front to back, has a little higher MOI. You can get away with some shots. It's not crazy forgiving. I think I said in my podcast, like, if you want to work the ball, this thing's going to allow you to work to the right, work to the left. It's pretty neutral head. It's not crazy forgiving, but you can still get away with some shots. The ball speed off the face is really good. But I mean, hitting it out of the rough, it hits out of the rough more like a hybrid. But I can hit it, but I can hit it off the deck, you know, off the fairway, just like you would a fairway would, and it goes a long way. So this thing here on, you know, say shorter par 5s or even par 5s that, you know, are average length sometimes. I mean, this thing allows you to get home where you don't have to rely on 3-wood for me, which is a good deal. And then off the tee, the thing's an absolute cannon. It goes a long way. That face is super hot. But this setup here has been really, really good, and I so far really like it. I'll be interesting to see, you know, in terms of next year. What will be the hardest to replace? I think this might be the hardest to replace right now. And again, we'll see when new stuff starts coming out. And again, I'm saying this because I don't know what's coming out yet. I've seen a couple spy shots online, like some of you guys have, of some drivers, but that's it. I don't know what's coming out in terms of hybrids or fairways or anything yet. I really don't. But I think this combo, this setup here, might be the hardest one to replicate or to get knocked out of the bag, because it has just been really good so far. And again, we'll see. I mean, it is kind of the honeymoon thing. I've only played like 27 holes with it, so who knows? I mean, the thing could be, you know, shelved by the time this podcast hits the air. Who knows? But right now, I think the Apex UW, I think it's just like I said, it's just a really versatile club that you can do a lot of things with. I think it plays like a hybrid. Plays like a hybrid in terms of turf interaction, but it launches like a fairway wood, like a 5-wood, and it goes really well. And you guys know I don't hit 5-woods great. I don't love them, and this is, I think, a really good option to put in the bag instead of hybrid, instead of 5-wood, this utility. So that goes in the bag there. Honorable mention, of course, for this. I mean, if I wasn't playing this, I'd be playing the Cobra King Tech hybrid. I think that is just really one of the, again, I think an unsung hero in the hybrid space that not as many people are talking about, but it's one of those that I think a lot of people should try. I love the movable weights on the bottom. If you move all the heavy weights out to the toe, the thing has like 0 left in it. You can, it's got the adjustable hosels, so you can kind of really dial in the gapping. It's just overall really versatile hybrid. I think it sounds and feels really good. The size-wise, I think it's a pretty good size. It's definitely a little bigger than, say, some of the pro or tour inspired hybrids, but it's not crazy huge. And I think it gives it a good amount of stability and forgiveness while it launches high, but not crazy high. I'd call it mid-high, but pretty low spin. It's just overall a really good hybrid. And I think that, if the UW didn't come along and I didn't build it up this way, because stock, I didn't hit it that great. I hit it okay, but I didn't really hit it that great. So if this thing didn't get built up the way it was, I'd be playing the Cobra King Tech, because that was in the bag before this, and it really is a really good hybrid. And I think moving that thing, I had a Ventus Blue, Ventus HB Blue 8X in there. I had the 9X and it launched it a little too flat, hitting it into greens. Hitting it off the tee was great, but hitting it off the turf into greens, it just didn't quite get as high as I needed it to get things to stop as quickly as I'd like. So moving to that 8X launch just a little bit higher, and honestly, that combo has been really, really good. So this thing here, like I said, with this Atmos Blue, has been really good. I might see if I can try to get my hands on a Ventus like 8X. They're really, Ventus Red 8X, they're really not easy to come by. I don't think those things are really just stock everywhere. But I might try to get my hands on one. I'm going to look up real quick on the, I can't remember if they sell the 8X at retail, but it's really one of those things where, if I can get a Ventus Red 8X, I think that would be pretty cool. They really only make a 7X. So they make an 8X for tour only, so I don't know if I'll be able to snag one of those. We'll see. But like I said, UW is probably in the bag, and that Cobra King Tech. If you're looking for a new hybrid and want something that's really versatile, doesn't have any left in it or very, very little, you'd be crazy not to try that thing. So UW for now, silver medal. Place it on the Cobra's head, because both of those things are really good. I know there's a ton of other good ones out there. I mean, I had some good success with hitting the TaylorMade stuff. That Apex Pro was really good as well. It's just unfortunately the media sample that came in was like a 21 degree, and it just wasn't quite long enough for what I was looking for. The other surprising one, really, honestly, is the Srixon ZXs. If you haven't hit the Srixon ZX hybrids yet, really, really solid. They get up in the air quick, and they go a long, long ways. Those faces are really hot. So if you're looking for hybrids, all those are definitely worthy opponents, or worthy competitors to hit in a sense. So, but that would be hybrid there. Iron set we get into, and really, I everybody knows I had those, probably the best looking pair of set of Srixon ZX7s on Earth, and I think right now I would play P770s. If I was playing for money and I had to put a paycheck on the line or a mortgage payment on the line, something like that, the P770 is just a really, really good iron. For a guy like me, it fits my game. Like, it's built like for me. It's something that looks like a player's club, and you set it down, very little offset, thin top line, compact shape, short heel to toe, very short heel to toe, to be honest, compared to a lot of other things. But it's multi-piece construction. It's foam filled. It's got a hot face on it. It's got a bunch of tungsten that allow it to be. I mean, it's just forgiving while looking not like it's forgiving. And when you look at it from the back, it almost looks like a blade. But it's just got a ton of technology in it to make it so much easier to hit. And honestly, yes, do the ZX7s feel softer and more solid? For sure. Do these go a little farther and let me get away with some shots that the ZX7s would never let me? Definitely. But the P770 is just, it's one of those things. I've got them late in the year, and I've played them a bunch. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see I just placed a head in front of me. There's no shaft in this one. I do have a pitching wedge behind me that still has the shaft in it. But I'm in the process of putting new shafts in that. I don't know. Right now, it's either going to be Project X 6.0s, which has been kind of a shaft that's always worked for me, or I might pull the old Fujikura Pro 115 Tour Spec stiffs out of a set of irons here that I have laying around as well. The KBS Tours, just I hit them okay on days where I hit them okay, but I just think I need something with just like a little stiffer handle section in it. And those PXs, I don't think there's a whole lot other than some of the wild, PXLS or the X100, X7s. I don't think there's a ton out there that's stiff in the handle. So the PXs are really good. I have a set here. I've actually had to dry fit them, and lengthwise they actually fit just about perfect. So those are probably going to go in there right now. And then we'll see come next year. Like I said, everything is kind of an open spot in a sense. But right now, the P770, it's just tough to beat. And like I said, it's just however TaylorMade put kind of this secret sauce together. It's just works really well. And like I said, for me, being a 9 handicap, which my latest GAM revision left me at a 9, which I think is way low for what I actually am. But for a guy who doesn't practice, who just goes out and plays as much as he can, this here just allows you to play golf that's more fun without putting a big old club in your bag. It's just one of those, do I wish it was maybe a hair softer? For sure. It's got just a little bit of click to it at impact. But again, for the performance out of it, it stays in the bag. Everybody knows I had the raw ZX7s. I still have them. They're in a bag over here. I definitely do want to give them away and see if I can pull off some type of kind of cool giveaway. So maybe I'll still do that. But the one that actually is surprising that, and I'm not going to talk about next year, because next year these are going to go do some battle. I've got to get them out on the course a little bit more with T100, T100S, and T200. And then who knows what else comes down the road. But those two are definitely going to go to battle because it's just such a competitive space. But honestly, the ones that I think iron wise that are really just shocking, that had a way better chance of making the bag than I ever thought when they showed up. Cobra King Tour MIMs. The King Tour is just such a good iron head. I mean, it just I wish it wasn't chrome. I'll give that's its one knock, to me at least, is that it's chrome, and you put an 8-9 pitching wedge in your hand, and you get on a sunny day in the right angle, and it gets you. If that club comes in a little bit of satin, which I know they now make the copper one, but if that just came in a little bit of satin, that club is really good. I mean, you can work the ball. It's a little longer heel to toe. The blade length's a little longer. But like I said, very forgiving, really great feel. I know there was like one YouTuber who like knocked the feel, and I don't understand that because I think it's extremely soft. It has a good sound to it. But that metal injection molded really does work, and they put some tungsten in the long irons out in the toe, and all that stuff, and they're really easy to hit. They go pretty far for kind of a single piece kind of a players type head. They have a little bit of spin to them, so if you hit them into the green, you're definitely getting stuff to stop even out of the rough. But overall, just a really good setup and shape, pretty minimal offset, pretty thin top line. Just overall, a really good iron that I think is, again, kind of overrated and not thought about, but a really solid option if you're looking for kind of a player's cavity, and you want something that like I said, is a little more forgiving, but you don't want to lose that player's look, and you want to be able to work the ball still. That King Tour MIM is just really good. So that actually came way closer to making the bag. The first time I took them out, I was shocked at how well they played, and really, if it wasn't for having probably the coolest set of Srixons out there, they probably would have got a heck of a lot more bag time. So just a really, really good set of irons that came way closer to making the bag than I think I portrayed or anybody thought. So those were really good. And like I said, ZX7s are also super solid. And out of the ones that I kind of gamed, I mean, those things definitely felt the best for sure. So we'll see. P770 is getting some new shafts for the end of the year, going into next year, and then they're going to do battle some new stuff. So we'll see how it goes. It's gonna be tough though, because like I said, performance wise, these are gonna be really tough to beat. Other stuff is gonna be new and sexy and maybe have a little better feel, but overall, these are gonna be pretty tough to beat. So then we get into wedges, and wedges is kind of an interesting thing because I don't play a full pitching wedge through Lob Wedge of the same set, the same anything. So for me, it's a little different. So for me, pitching wedge in this set with the P770s, I'm putting a mill grind 3 in there. Shape-wise, it looks very similar. And again, I've been playing more, as you guys know, as you guys have probably listened, I play more of a sandwich style pitching wedge because I love the versatility. And I've used it now to chip more if I'm short of a green and just need to kind of bump and run it for me, which is still put a little bit of loft on there, but bump and run it up there. I love the feel and the consistency that a sandwich style pitching wedge gives. I feel like I get a little more distance control out of it. Like I said before, I think I took out the PXG ST, the Gen 4 ST that just came out, that pitching wedge. Like, it just felt hot. Like, everything that came off the face, I was putting past the hole. By a decent amount compared to, a regular pitching wedge. But the mill grind 3, goes in the bag with the P770s. That raw face with the mini groove or mini reverse groove that sticks up, all that stuff. I mean, great spin, really predictable, and it fits the gaps fine. I mean, it's a 46 degree. I've been into 45. It fits basically the whole set of P770s, and it kind of seamlessly goes there. But I can kind of chip with it, hit it out of the rough, whatever. And I think it's a little more consistent, a little easier than the stock P770 pitching wedge. So that goes with there. I mean, I'm not going to go into like kind of like an alternate. I mean, the alternate there would be my Vokey 46, which was really good. And, I like that thing a lot too. Shape wise, the mill grind 3 just matches up a little better than with the P770. So that's why it goes in there compared to the 46 degree out of my Vokeys. Gap wedge and sand wedge both have been Vokey, and right now they will be at least to finish out the year. Like I said, if I had to go play, they're both Vokey. I think it's just a matter that D grind in the 56 is just really, really good for my swing. It just works really well. Ton of bounce for soft conditions in my steep, crappy swing. It's super easy to hit out of the bunkers, especially if the sand is a little lighter. If you go play St. Clair Shores, I mean, unless you're bringing a 0-degree wedge, you're pretty much screwed because they have the worst bunkers in Metro Detroit. But at least this year they have. But I mean, that sole, I think, just works so well with my swing, and it's been tough to find. I found stuff that works well, but not stuff that works phenomenal, compared to that. So it's one of those things where the Vokey D grind, and really I like the fact that they have kind of the high bounce option in the 50. I went with the 12-degree in the 50. It's got a slightly wider sole. And again, if I have to hit that thing out of a long bunker shot, or I need to, hit that thing off the turret, whatever, I can just, those things are just definitely more versatile. And like I said, for my swing, being steep, playing in soft conditions, they just work really well. So those there, I've been a big fan of the Vokeys. They're probably going to be there. I do have to say, though, the mill grind 3s have been really good. They're really, really solid. I think if I can try a high bounce 56 and maybe something else, and try the same thing. If they make a high bounce 50, I don't remember if that's part of the game plan there, but those type of things are really going to make a difference on if those things make the bag, and they definitely could. Like I said, the wedges, mine are now getting to be 2 years old. The groove-wise, I mean, for as many balls as I hit, they're probably totally fine, but it be one of those things where, something new, fresh grooves, whatever, will be really good. I know, the rumor is that there's going to be a bunch of new stuff from a bunch of companies, so we'll see how that goes. But, the 50 is pretty much only in the standard bounce, unfortunately, which is 9 degrees, but hey, we'll see. I've got a 52 high bounce that I've bent already to basically 50, and it's basically 9 degrees. So that's worked really well. But the mill grind 3s could definitely make a shot. They're definitely really close. I think if, like I said, just if I could try a couple different ones, just to kind of see if they're any different than what I have, I think would be great. But I do have to say that the last time I went out and played, I played 17 holes, I hit some really crispy wedge shots that were really solid, and just, I mean, hitting it right at the pin, just stopping the ball on a dime, and they're really, really good. So mill grind 3s are definitely behind there, which, again, kind of when you look at it, makes my bag look almost all tailor-made. And it's not that I plan that or anything like that. It's just, been hitting a bunch of stuff, and whatever goes in the bag that works, and those are what have been working the best so far. So, like I said, wedge-wise, my 50 for my gap and my sand, the Vokey high bounce stuff, D grind, and I think the 50 is into an F grind. I think it's an F12. Yeah, I think so. F12. Those two have been absolutely phenomenal. They've been in my bag for this now for the second year. They're probably going to go this year just to get something new. And like I said, the mill grind 3s are probably right behind it. The one that I said, the wedge that I think is actually surprising, that probably have, if they make higher, if they were to make higher bounces and make some shift into it, the Mizuno T22s are really good. They're super, super soft. They spin a ton. Everything seems to be lower bounce with them throughout the set. I mean, they make a couple of different they make like one higher bounce grind in like the sand wedges, I think. That's about it. But I would definitely want to try those. Like I said, I did the T22 in, I think, the C grind, which was only like 8 degrees of bounce or something like that in a 56. It might even been 6. It's sitting over there. I just can't see it. Like I said, when I hit that thing well, like I said, super soft, ton of spin. The sole grind worked well if I could, keep myself shallow, not take a big divot. If I got really steep, it would definitely, take a nice beaver pelt, and that, something nice you could make a hat out of. But just really great feel. And if they make some higher bounce stuff, those things could make a real run at the bag, just because I really like the feel of them. And like I said, the spin is really good, whether off the tight lie, fairway lie, or out of the rough. Super, super, super spinny. Lob Wedge has actually been the same pretty much all year. It's been the Cleveland RTX Zip Core full face. And it's basically a 58 I bent to 60, which worked out great because it was a 58.9, I think. And bent it to 60, so it's basically a 60-11. good amount of bounce, that full face groove, and the zip core, the RTX, the zip core grooves have been absolutely phenomenal. They spin a ton, but having those grooves on the outside, especially little flop shots, little kind of high lofted shots like that, I tend to hit them out on the toe. So having those extra grooves definitely works. That thing there has just been really good. I've just hit it really well. I think I've actually left. Did I leave the stock shaft in it too? Yeah, I left that stock dynamic gold spinner in there, and it just has really worked well. So I've hit that thing great. It's the raw, the tour rack raw one. And to be honest, been into 60, and it is just like, it's one of those, I've tried a bunch of, I've tried the Mill Grind 360, the Vokey, I've tried, you name it, I've probably tried most of the 60-degree wedges out there. And that thing actually was really, really good. It's just so easy to hit. Like the spin on it, whether it's out of the rough, whether it's out, whether it's out of a nasty lie or out of a good lie, it's really predictable. Like, how much it's going to release or not, depending on the shot. And it's just been one of those wedges that I've just, it didn't take any time to get comfortable with. As soon as I got it, that sole, everything, it just really worked. I could hit some really touchy shots that with other wedges, I kind of got, I would decel or I would, second guess what I was hitting and things like that. That thing I put in the bag, and it's just hit shots with it. Full shots, I'm not very good. The leading edge is round. The big kind of flared out toe, all that stuff. I don't like hitting full shots with it, which I don't, so it's fine. But hitting, little finesse shots around the green have been awesome with it. So that there's been the bag. In terms of a 60, really the one that was kind of a shocker, and it actually I think was last year's. It might have been early in the year, but I thought it was last year. But the one that was shockingly really good was the Wilson Staff Model HT. That was in the bag actually for a while. It was actually in the bag for a good amount of time. I think I bent it to like 61 or something like that, so I didn't have to take I didn't have to open the face. But that thing there actually was really, really good. And I hit some really good shots with it. And really, it didn't quite have the same feel. It was a little hard, a little more clicky, and the spin on the Cleveland for me, it seemed a little higher. So that thing there, the Wilson Staff HT was really good. It's got that high toe, full face grooves. Got a little wider sole to it, so out of the bunker it played great, but it just didn't quite have the spin in the feel that the RTX Zipcore full face did. So that one was actually really close. The other one too that are really good was, like I said, the Mizuno is really good, and then some of those, if you play low bounce stuff, those I think it's Epon Tour Wedge, is that what it's called? Is really, really soft, and they spin a ton as well. They just, like I said, the soles are just, the leading edges are super tight or super sharp, and I dig absolute ditches with those things. So the Tour Wedge Type M was the one that I was hitting there, and like I said, extremely soft, great shape, super versatile, but just for me not enough bounce. So those things all there, really solid, really good. And I know this is being a long episode, but getting out of putter. I mean, putter for me has been basically, I've gone through a couple different putters, and I've taken a bunch out. My tried and true Bettinardi BB8W kind of weathered the storm all year. And actually, at the end of the year, I played a little scramble event with some guys from the office, and I putted absolutely phenomenal. I made so many putts. It was just outrageous. Even the guys commenting were just like, it was crazy to see how many putts I made. And, one of the guys just said, your stroke is just perfect. It's just straight back right through. I mean, all that stuff. And that BB8Y just, and usually I'm not a blade guy. Like, I don't play a lot of blade putters just because I typically like mallets. I like stuff that's, straight back, straight through and all that. And this putter just has worked well all year. I wish the milling on the face was just a hair deeper. It does have just a slight ting to it when the ball comes off the face. Other than that, the matte black finish, all that has been really good. And I put in that Fujikura MC putter Firm 115 in there as well. And honestly, the MC Firm has been phenomenal. I love the feel of it. It's a little softer. It's kind of plays like steel in a sense, and it does. It has just a touch of flex to it. But it just softens the putter a little bit, knocks down some of that vibration off that face that has, like I said, just a light milling to it that it's responsive, but it has a little firmer feel. And this just softens it up a little bit, and it's uber consistent. The face is always delivered basically square to the target. And it's just a putter that it's made me have fun playing blades again. And that's been a long time since I played a blade. So that BBAW has been really good. The other one that's had a ton of time is the Toulon Chicago. I mean, it started off, I think I got it, the honeymoon phase, it was untouchable. Things went a little south after that, and then actually I went back to using it again and made a bunch of putts, and it's really been a really good putter. It's just one of those, a little softer than the Bettinardi in terms of feel, and the shape is great. It's got a little softer bumpers to it. The flange is just a touch wider than traditional blade, but that thing is really, really good. And those two kind of pretty much have stayed in the bag all year. I would say the one that actually's come close, and who knows, it's still brand new, but that PXG Clydesdale. And I know I talked about it last week. I still think it's probably one of the best values for $129 for a putter that you can buy right now. The feel on it's really good. The shape, I mean, yeah, putting shape is going to be, who knows? Everybody's going to have their own opinions on what shape is good and what's not. The alignment aid works pretty well. I think it's something different, and it's not as distracting as I thought it would be. I thought I would be honing in on it and staring at it. It's light enough where I don't really notice it. And to be honest, I used more of the top line sight line anyway. So that putter there, just that face on it, just has a good feel to it. Puts a good roll on the ball. And again, for PXG making cheap stuff, it's a pretty darn good cheap putter. I think that's one of those ones that if you're willing to give it a shot, you're probably going to find, you'd be surprised with how good it is. So that there is pretty much the whole bag. And in terms of other stuff, I pretty much I used a lot of different balls. The one the ball that I started using again that I really actually liked, TP5, man. TP5 and I just get along. For whatever reason, that ball's just really good. Played a ton of Pro V1 as well. It was usually between those two balls that I was playing. If I had to play for money, I'd probably play the Pro V1 if I had to take it. It just, that feel is just really good, and the green side control is just absolutely phenomenal. So that ball there has just been really good. But TP5 would probably be my second best ball there. The ball I really liked, I wish it was just a hair softer, would be Chrome Soft XLS. The low spin one, which is actually a really good performing ball. It just is really firm. So hopefully maybe they'll be something there. But that ball, if it was just a touch softer, I think would have really made a run for the bag there, because it just was a solid performer. But yeah, and then that's about it. I mean, bag-wise, I actually use the Moto Caddy bags a ton because they fit so well in my cart, and I kind of retired my staff bag a little more just because it was so big and so heavy. I still bust it out when I want to show off the logo, but the Moto Caddy bags have been really good. And they actually are waterproof. Like I said, I got caught in the rain, threw the rain cover on it, all that. Waterproof, all my stuff was dry, so I got to admit that stuff works. So that's about what's in the bag. That's kind of what followed it up, my kind of top 1 and 2, and even a little surprise in there. So I know this episode went on a little long. Apologize about that. I'm going to try to remember to do a Q&A. I know I forgot to do it yesterday. I just forgot. So I will try to do one today. If you follow me at Club Junkie Pod on Instagram, that's where I usually have my Q&As. Ask me some questions. I'll try to answer them the best I can. And yeah, like I said, hopefully keep your fingers crossed for me. The weather stays good. I can get out, play some more golf, try some things, and still have some interesting shows. So that's all I've got for today. Everybody have a good weekend. Enjoy it. Hopefully you get to play some golf. Hopefully, if you're like me and you're a Michigan State Spartan fan, we don't get caught in this whole Purdue trap game after a heck of a win over a very good Michigan team. It's good to be a Spartan dog right now at the moment. So hopefully they can take care of Purdue. The Lions, well, they're just a dumpster fire. Who cares? And hopefully your teams are doing better. So anyway, everybody have a good weekend. We'll talk next week. See you later.